Hey, it's Grace Duckworth. I'm here today at Karma Tribe Yoga Studio, Kansas City's donation-based yoga studio off of Broadway. Today I'm going to be covering Utkatasana, or awkward pose, fierce pose, but most often referred to as chair pose. And what I like about it, what I dislike about it, and how I've found a little bit more comfort in this awkward pose. So if you have blocks, you might use 2 blocks. And if you don't have blocks, that's totally fine. You can just pretend that you're holding something, or maybe use something like a tissue box or a really big book. So we're going to start standing up and really looking at the structure and foundation of the posture. So we're going to start at the feet. This is the foundation of the pose, whatever is touching the ground. My feet are going to be stacked beneath the ischial tuberosities, so the sits bones, those 2 circles at the bottom of the pelvis that you usually see on skeleton cutouts. That's where we're going to try to line the feet. So the best way to check your anatomical positioning and build is take 2 fists together and then bring them between the feet. From here, just make sure your toes are turning straight forward, and you might kind of take your hands to the bottom of the foot and feel what it's like when your toes are relaxed, and then lift your toes, spread your toes, feel how the arches lift and activate, keep your toes spread and set them back down. Then let's grab our first and second block, positioning the first block between the thighs, and we'll just hold the second block for now. So after lifting, spreading, setting the toes back down, we're going to focus on pushing through the feet as if you're ripping your mat from left to right, from side to side, and then start squeezing the block at the same time. And you don't even have to have a bend in your knees yet. Right now we're just focusing on the sensation of the feet. So how do your feet feel after lifting the toes, spreading them, setting them back down, pushing through the feet as if you're ripping your mat from front to back and squeezing your thighs into the block. What you're going to start to notice is your knees begin to track toward the second or the middle toes of the feet, where naturally a lot of us will let the knees drop together when we start to head into the posture, or less often, but still happens. Sometimes people's knees will go wide. So the block is going to help to keep the knees tracking over the toes. So what direction are our knees moving? They're going to have to move forward, but again, they're tracking toward the second and middle toes. And then you're going to kind of push your hips back a little bit more. And once you find a comfortable position for the knees, where they're slightly forward of the ankles, but not so far forward that they're over the toes, I kind of like them right in between, halfway between ankle and toes. And this feels best for my knees. I know some people can go a little bit further, but the further forward your knees track to your toes, the greater risk you are of injuring the knees. So I like to be kind of at a halfway point. And then notice the lower back. A lot of us kind of stick our tushy back in this posture because it's referred to as chair pose for some reason. I don't know why we refer to it as chair pose. So then they try to pretend that they're sitting in a chair, and they stick their hiney like really far back, and they get this really big dip in the pelvis. So what we're going to do, or in the lumbar spine rather, what we're going to do is kind of start hugging the lower ribs toward each other to give more lift to the torso and more length to the spine. Sometimes it's cute to tuck the pelvis under, and that's helpful if you have an anterior tilting pelvis or a forward tilting pelvis. But if you already naturally tuck under, telling someone to tuck the pelvis under is going to make it a lot harder. So we're trying to aim for something more neutral by hugging the lower ribs toward each other and bringing more length to the lower back. Then I like to focus on pulling my femur bones back into the hip sockets. And I feel like that gives me a little bit more activity through my center. So now my core can become more active. In that second block, I press in between the palms. And I like to practice Utkatasana, or awkward pose, with my arms parallel to the ground. But you can keep pushing that block between the palms and then lift your arms to be a little taller. So you kind of make a zigzag position. But a lot of the time I like going here. And then your neck is long and your breath is focused. Your drishti, or focal point, is forward to your fingers, or maybe just below the fingers in between the elbows, depending on where your arms are at. So wherever you take this pose, think of its root meaning. Utkatasana translates to fiercely awkward in asana. So it doesn't really have anything to do with a chair. Think less about trying to mimic what it's like to be in a chair, and think more about this pose is really awkward, and it's also really intense because it's fierce. So what can you do in your body to change the efficiency of your energy so you can hold the posture for longer periods of time without exhausting the joints? And what I like to do is make mine a little bit taller, like you saw a moment ago. So I'm a little bit more like a zigzag shape, rather than focusing on sitting in a chair. Hope this helps you out. I hope that your knees feel a little bit better in the pose, that your back feels a little bit better in the pose. And maybe you can feel an overall activation in the core more so than before. Please let me know if you have any questions. Any comments? I hope to see you at Karma Tribe sometime soon. I'm here on Wednesdays and Fridays. You can find my full schedule at gracedupworth.com. I'll put the link in the description box below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to practicing again with you soon. Namaste.